Hi guys, my name is Josh, and alongside my wife Chelsea, we are the youth pastors at Campaign Youth at JCIWC in Fresno, California. And today I am joined by Pastor Brandon.
How's it going? Yeah, my name's Brandon. Me and my wife Sarah, we are the youth directors over at Echoes Youth at New Hope Selma Church.
That's awesome. Why we're here today is we have an event coming up on April 14th called Lockdown. What Lockdown is, it is a time for us to come together, many different youth groups, one church, and we just entertain the Holy Spirit. We give place to who He is and what He is and what He wants to do for us in the room at that time. Basically, we're just inviting the throne room of heaven into the church building and just waiting and tarrying and seeing what God has for us. So we did one not that long ago, just a couple of months ago, and Brandon and his group were so gracious. They joined in with us. They actually did one of the worship sets. It was awesome having them here. But I wanted to ask him a couple of questions. What that night impacted you personally?
I would say for me personally, it softened my heart in areas that I didn't realize I was so jaded. Being in ministry and being bivocational and have my other job and doing and then alongside my wife leading the ministry, I hadn't cried or even been able to feel, and it was like I felt like I had like a blockage. And when I finally my big highlight for me personally was that I was I cried and I was able to feel these feelings that I haven't been able to feel in a while, like genuine. God was downloading into my heart feelings of how some of our teens have felt, and I genuinely feel like the Holy Spirit was able to let me feel that of what they were going through, and I would just brought to tears and just like, oh my gosh, this weight, and then God, how can I help? That was a big highlight for me. I was able to, they softened my heart. I was able to kind of feel stuff again, which is weird.
I've been there. In that, that's awesome. I mean, I think as ministers, we've all been there before, to where it is like ministry has become life. It's what we do. Then you kind of look around like, where's my relationship kind of gone? You know, and it's moments like that that mark us and carry us to the next step and carry us to the next dimension. Now it's a long night. How did you announce it to your students that we are going to, we're gonna have giveaways and fun, but there's gonna be 4 hours of prayer? What did that look like?
That looked like a text and a call, and the week before it was like, yo, we're doing this, we committed to this, but I don't want anybody to come who is gonna give us a hard time. Like it was just, I said it to our leadership team when we were starting, to our kids, I was like, hey, I'd really like it if you're there. It's not a mandate, but I'd really like it if you're there. But if you're gonna come, we're there. And I'm like not exaggerating, but I'm like making sure we're going to be there till midnight.
Yes, absolutely.
This is happening. Hey, if you're not happy with it, don't show up.
When I felt that we're gonna do this for this amount of time, I was like, can we shorten this up a little bit? Like, this is intimidating. Like, can we start with like a 2-hour service and not 5 hours? So this is crazy, but I really felt like that is what the Lord impressed on us. We need to wait and tarry and see what God has for us when we shut everything off and just go after who He is. What for you in that, even though the time was a little intimidating and it didn't matter the number of students that showed up, we were just going to do what we know the Lord had for us to do. What is a highlight for you amongst your students? What was a highlight that you see?
A highlight for me, for them, I genuinely feel, and after we had talked, that each of them got a word from God, a genuine word from God. And even one of our teen girls who have been coming for the past year and a half or so, I know for a fact her life has never been the same. she gave everything that night. And all the hurt that she's experienced in her life, and said, God, I want you to make me new. Even though she had known God and given her heart to God, it's another thing to then go all in, even more so to build that deeper relationship. And she did. And between myself, our leaders, your leaders, there was a moment in the night where she was just giving it up, and we stood alongside her and was just praying. And I believe those chains were broken, and she has not been the same ever. And it's been an awesome thing to see.
That's so cool, because that's really what, I don't know if event is even the right word, that's what these nights are about. It is about us coming together and experiencing the love, the freedom, the forgiveness, and the renewal of who God is, and how that He can come into our lives and completely change everything about us.
Yeah.
Even if we've been in church for a long time, just like the teen I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I've been there. But sometimes it's just that one moment in an evening that might even look intimidating.
Yeah.
But that's what the goal is of lockdown. That's what the heartbeat of lockdown is for us to come together as the body of believers, as the church, and see change happen in this next generation, giving something real and something tangible to hold on to. If you had one thing to say to encourage somebody to join in, what would it be?
As intimidating as it may sound, and the phrase being, nothing in life that was worth doing ever came easy. You got to get uncomfortable. It is so true, especially with this. This is a night where it can be into 7 o'clock to midnight. Yes, we're gonna have fun, but the purpose of this is to pray. And wherever your relationship with God is, even as leadership, at times we may feel insignificant, and I don't know as much as I should. And you know what? This is gonna be a lot. Don't let that dissuade you. I mean, it is a night where lives are changed, and like I said, it marks you, and it is so worth it. So please come.
Absolutely. I think that where there is an opportunity for obedience, then revival becomes the opportunity. It's not easy necessarily joining in with stuff like this, where we are talking to pastors right now, we're talking to leaders. You're like, man, I don't know. It sounds good, it sounds awesome, but I don't know.
I don't know how my kids are gonna react.
Exactly, this is gonna be a long night. But I promise you, we have prayed, we've fasted, and we're going to continue to do so that this is a night that can be not just experience, not just an emotional high, to where when we leave, it's like, man, that was a really cool service.
And we just go back to what we
exactly. And 10 years from now, I don't remember that service.
No.
But I know for a fact that the student that you're referring to 10 years from now, she'll be able to look back and say, I was changed that night. And that's the goal, is just to encounter the Father and His Spirit in just praise, worship, and prayer, and just do all three at the same time and go for broke.
Just do what we were called to do. And just do it to the best we can.
Absolutely.
And sometimes, as an encouragement also for, just the time-wise, we're stubborn. And sometimes it may take an hour for us to let go of everything, but especially as the first time, especially if we're all bottled up in ourselves, it takes an hour, it takes 2 hours, it takes 3 hours to really let go. And we're just having this time to say, no matter if you're going there, you start off, you're immediately like, I'm giving this up. Sometimes it's gonna take an hour or 2 or 3. We wanna we wanna allot that time for the hardest heart in the room to be in the presence of God. To say, God, you're gonna break me down, and even though I'm gonna resist, it might take a while. God, you're gonna do your will, and I'm gonna have to let it happen.
Absolutely. I think one of the highlights for me that night was I was trying to be very punctual. I was trying we're going to start at 7 and we are ending at midnight. That's what we're doing. At midnight, I dismissed.
Yeah.
I got up, I prayed dismissal, and we were done. And it wasn't that I felt the Holy Spirit was finished or anything. It's just like, this is what I said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to be punctual, we're going to go according to plan. But for 42 and a half minutes, we sat in absolute silence. Nobody moved, Nobody played a chord on the piano. We didn't move. And it was like the Holy Spirit was absolutely engulfing us in His peace and in His rest and in His joy, and just sat there in it.
It was a refreshing feeling. It was awesome. And you didn't want to move. It wasn't like this is awkward. I'm waiting for someone to move so then I can move. It was like, I don't want to move.
Exactly.
Because I'm feeling this presence and I don't want to stop.
It was real. It was
so
real,
cool.
and it was tangible, and it was, do I know if He'll ever do that again? No. But if He doesn't, that's awesome. But for those 42 and a half minutes, He was there, and it was real. And there's no denying it. I've talked to my students about it, and they're like, I've never experienced anything like that in my life.
And that is what we're going for. And if it takes 4 hours, 5 hours for that to happen, that was all worth it.
Absolutely, 100%. So that is what we're doing, and we would love to have each and every one of you join in with us for this next lockdown. Like I said, it's on April 14th, 7 to midnight. You need to be there.
You need to be there. Selma, New Hope Church, Selma.